I'm Jeff Colebank, and I'm about to fill you in on the latest and greatest film news. This is Filmed In.
Happy almost Halloween, movie fans. Tonight I hope to scare and thrill you with my list of what I think are the top 5 horror films made after 1990. So turn off the lights, lock the door, and put the lotion on the skin, because here comes the number 5 horror movie on my list, Silence of the Lambs. Now, technically speaking, Silence of the Lambs is more of a thriller than a horror film, but I'm putting it on my list because it's dark and very creepy, and it was also the first and only horror thriller movie to win the Best Picture Oscar. Now, for those of you unaware, this movie is about a rookie FBI agent, played by Jodie Foster, who must gain the help from an incarcerated serial killer, Hannibal Lecter, who's played by Anthony Hopkins, to track down a murderer on the loose. This movie messes with your head. Hopkins is freaky believable and will send shivers down your spine. The horror moments are far and few between, but when they come, they hit with a bang. So if you're looking for a great psychological horror crime thriller to crack open those fava beans and a nice Chianti, then this movie is for you. Moving to number 4, let me show you probably the best zombie movie ever made, 28 Days Later. So, if you haven't figured out by now, this movie is about zombies and one man's fight for survival. But what I love most about this movie is that it's smart, an ironic thing to call a movie about mindless, brain-craving undead. But it brings the right amount of horror, action, and storyline to make one awesome movie by a director that never disappoints, Danny Boyle. So, the next time you want your zombie fix and humans versus zombies just doesn't cut it, grab this movie. The next movie on my list disturbs me deeply because this could happen to anyone. It has probably the best soundtrack of any horror film as well. The Strangers is a frightening thrill ride about a couple who is terrorized by 3 masked murderers. Now, what makes this movie so scary is that the emotions are real. While filming the movie, the director did not tell the actors when the jumps and scares were coming. Liv Tyler actually lost 17 pounds while filming because she was so stressed out not knowing when the next Max Perskin was going to be around the corner. So be sure to grab The Strangers the next time you're home alone and some creepy girl comes to your house looking for Tamara. So, have you ever wanted to go spelunking, also known as caving? Well, my next film will scare you out of that idea for the rest of your life. The movie coming out on number 2 on my list is The Descent. This movie is about a group of 6 girls who go spelunking but soon find that they are not alone in the cave. If you aren't claustrophobic, this movie will make you claustrophobic. The girls squeeze through tight tunnels and blind corners, and while trying to avoid these half-men, half-bat cave creatures, there are 100 scares a minute and you never know where you are in the cave because everything looks the same and it's all only 2 feet wide. This movie guarantees to scare the bejesus out of you. So when you think there is something down in that cave you've always wanted to spelunk, well, see this movie first. Well, horror fans, we've made it to the last movie on my list. This film changed the horror game when it was released in 1996. It brought the master of horror back to the big screen and forever made Ghostface a horror icon. Coming in at number 1 on the top 5 horror films made after 1990 is Wes Craven's Scream.
Hello?
Hello.
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
This horror classic moved away from the slashers of the 80s and added its own twist, killing teenagers who were watching horror films. So if you want the cliff notes on what the 90s were, be sure to catch this movie. It's complete with Drew Barrymore, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. But this movie is more than just a recap of the 90s. It's a perfect combination of slasher, jumpy, psychological, and scary. And that's why Scream is my number 1, and why the next time you get a phone call asking you who the killer is in Friday the 13th, you better know the answer. Well, there you have it. Now, I know that some of you are probably screaming at the TV right now saying, he didn't put in this movie or that movie. Well, look, this is my show and not yours. And since this is my show, I brought you the best films that I think are the best. You could have a completely different list, and that's fine. Being a fan of horror movies, you are always giving and receiving horror movie recommendations. So, with that, I hope you enjoyed my list, and I hope you all have a very spooky and happy Halloween.
Ha 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 ha!